Hey, it's December, and 11 months after my big essay on the series dropped, I finally decided to talk about Danny Phantom again. Surprise! Holiday episodes, am I right? Most cartoons have one. There are so many of them out there, you could talk about them for 25 days straight and not run out. And I feel like it's usually a storyline about saving Christmas in some way. But Danny Phantom did it differently than the rest, and that's why I chose the Fright Before Christmas to break down this year. Let's get into it. Keek's first episode, Breakdown Christmas Fun Time. So, in this episode, the holidays are drawing near, and everyone but Danny is feeling the winter cheer. Turns out, every year of his life, Danny's parents have spent Christmas arguing over the validity of Santa, once again being way too absorbed in their own world to realize that they are traumatizing the shit out of their child. Par for the course for this family, unfortunately. While his parents were busy being white trash, screaming at each other in the Christmas tree sale lot, baby Danny got pissed on by a dog and attacked by a ghostly turkey. So it makes sense that he hates Christmas if all of his memories of the holiday are absolutely horrible. Can't hold that against him. Most of us probably have a bad family holiday memory or two.
Personally, I try not to think about my dad walking out in the middle of cooking Thanksgiving dinner and then later complaining that he had to eat a freezer meal.
Anyways, Danny heads to the ghost zone to blow off some steam, and in the process, accidentally blows up the prized Christmas poem of the ghost writer. And I have to ask, why was this his only copy? Has this man ever heard of saving? Backup files? Drafts? How much does he trust himself that he didn't make any edits? And why does his writing area look so digital and have like 500 keys if it's really just a glorified typewriter? The math is not mathing. Anyway, to exact his revenge, at the unapologetic protagonist, the ghostwriter forces Danny into a new Christmas poem, and from now on, every line of the episode is in rhyme. So as Danny tries everything he can to escape the poem, he's constantly taunted by the narration only he can hear and the ridiculous language employed in order to get everything to rhyme. Sam's family is Jewish, so Danny heads over to her house to try to escape the poem, expecting it to cease since her family doesn't celebrate Christmas. I appreciate that they also acknowledged another holiday with Sam's family celebrating Hanukkah instead, even though it's apparently Christmas Eve and those holidays don't happen that close together to my knowledge. I actually just looked this up while I was editing, and it does occasionally happen, but the last time was 1978 and the next time is in 2027, so when does Danny Phantom happen? The main cast's actions are pretty out of character due to the ghostwriter being in control of everything. Sam and Danny argue sometimes, but the way she goes off on him and randomly blames him for everyone's presents going missing is not her usual vibe at all. And then immediately afterwards, she goes outside with him to help him in a ghost fight, and then a minute later, she's blaming him again alongside everyone else. It's super disjointed when you actually take a look at how the characters are behaving.
You're watching Offbeat Kiki.
So after Danny's been fighting this shit on his own all night and his parents have been busy arguing with each other about the validity of Santa's existence, they finally notice their child is missing after a newscast about the dangers in the city, and Maddie goes out to find him and bring him home. But it's basically useless and just serves to transition into him going into the ghost zone from his family's portal, where he meets up with pretty much the whole main cast of enemies, which would typically be very scary and result in him getting his ass kicked, except for on Christmas, all the ghosts are supposed to hold a truce and enjoy a feast together. So it turns out the ghostwriter is breaking that rule. All the ghosts go to the ghostwriter's place to kick his ass, and he tries to alter the story to make the ghosts fight Danny. But Danny pulls out an orange and fucks with the rhyming scheme, and then the ghostwriter gets arrested.
Ah, crud! Nothing rhymes with orange!
Danny thinks that that's gonna end the poem, but he's still stuck in it.
This story's not done till the lesson is learned.
Emo boy Danny takes over the narration now as he walks in the cold with no coat, surveying the wreckage of the evening. And you can't really blame Danny for being depressed as shit at this point in the story, because this is a pretty disproportionate punishment for a bad attitude and an accident. After he mopes for a minute, his friends show up with his coat and suddenly don't get why he's so sad, as if they weren't total assholes to him and blaming him for the entire thing all night. They remember what happened in the poem because Sam is surprised the gifts are all intact, so they probably should have apologized for blaming him for the entire town's holiday being ruined. And although he tried to explain the situation to them earlier in the story, they kinda just acted like he was crazy, so I don't think he ever tells them what happened in full during this episode. Danny was just suffering on his own. Tucker and Sam get a 0 out of 10 this time. The The ghosts pop into the human world to help Danny put the town back together in honor of the truce. Danny brings presents back to his family, he escapes the poem, and everything's cool, right? No. Danny's parents go off to hunt down his ghost form and kill him. Very normal.
Ghost!
No, it's Santa!
They're both sort of right.
Now, it's a fun episode with a creative premise, but it does have some issues, as does pretty much every episode of Danny Phantom. The ghostwriter is basically just pulling a gaslight gatekeep girl boss on Danny and making his life more miserable than it already is, and it's somehow supposed to teach him a lesson about Christmas spirit. But his attitude about Christmas wasn't irrational, it was literally informed by trauma. So when you break it down, the ghostwriter is really just taking out his aggression on his inability to smash the save button on a teenager who desperately needs a therapist. Nice. Danny's parents are even worse fuck-ups than usual in this episode. They're straight up committing child neglect to argue about Santa Claus. Get it together, guys. The rhyming, it was a valiant attempt, but you can tell there are some spots where the writers pretty much gave up and just wrote whatever. I get it, because this is basically a 20-minute long poem and not every line is going to be a banger, but there are a couple lines in here that are downright embarrassing.
I snuck out and found this. It's all of your favorites. And here, Mom, for you.
Favorites!
You're watching Offbeat Kiki.
Hey there, thanks so much for watching so far. I hope you're enjoying yourself. If you want to see more of me, go ahead and follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram. And if you're interested in getting a behind the scenes look at what I'm working on for this channel, please check out my Patreon. Tiers are as low as $1, and I post weekly updates and exclusive content. Back to the show. I'm goofing on Fright Before Christmas a lot here, but despite its issues, for casual viewing, the script is creative and entertaining, and makes for a great episode to watch in December. Will Arnett voicing the ghostwriter is a highlight, and so is Danny busting out the ghostly wail, which is one of the most Deus Ex Machina moves of everything in his arsenal. Plus, the music in this episode is better than most of the series score. But if y'all watch my review of the series, you know the endlessly repetitive music makes me want to throw a brick. So the bar is low. I enjoy basically anything that doesn't use the same for everything. And they do that in this episode too, but you know, there's some other holiday-ish tunes mixed in there, so it makes it slightly better. Don't leave this video thinking I hate Danny Phantom. The show was a huge part of my life for a long time, and it means a lot to me. But anyone in the fandom will tell you that it's kinda like Glee, where nobody makes fun of the show as much as its superfans do. I kept thinking this episode was called Frightmare Before Christmas while I was writing this, which leads me to believe that in the inevitable revival fueled by nostalgia capitalism, we should have an episode where Frightmare comes and messes with people's Christmas dreams. Anyway, I don't think this episode was created to be picked apart. It was created to experiment with a different format and give the series a Christmas special. And on that front, they succeeded. Be sure to make some hot cocoa and throw on Fright Before Christmas this season, and maybe my thoughts on it will change the way you watch. Did you like this format of breaking down a Danny Phantom episode and analyzing its good and bad parts? These are pretty easy for me to put together since the show took over my life for a few years when I was a teenager, so if you want to see me break down and analyze more episodes, let me know which ones in the comments. Please remember this holiday season that time with the people you care about is a gift in of itself, and physical gifts are a luxury not afforded to everyone. Show compassion and kindness for others who deserve it. Don't donate to the Salvation Army because they have a history of discriminating against queer people, and most importantly, take care of yourself. I know the holiday season isn't easy for everyone, with it often meaning family time, and there's a considerable amount of trans people in my audience, so know that I accept you as you are, and I hope you can experience some peace. And I think this is going to be my last full video for 2021, so I'll see you in 2022 for more, and in the meantime, have a safe and happy holiday. Don't drink too much on New Year's, and please don't drive if you do. Get vaccinated if you haven't already, mask up in public, and as always, stay hydrated. Peace.
I am the queen of the universe. The waves part. They engulf me in the waters warm.
weird question.